Lucy Harwood Bold Impressions is the third exhibition in Firstsite series and legacy looking at Benton End. Benton End is the East Anglian school of painting and drawing that was set up by Arthur Haynes and his partner Cedric Morris.
They founded the East Anglian School of Painting and Drawing in the late 1930s. Lucian Freud and Lucy Harwood were one of the first pupils. The school burnt down, sadly, in 1939, allegedly set by a cigarette butt of Lucian Freud, and they moved to Benton End in Hadley and remained there until the 1980s.
She was very much a Sunday lunch visitor and a presence in our world. She enjoyed painting outside, and she would take herself out into the local area around Layham and paint, whether it was farmyard, field, she was always there. She would paint rain or snow or sunshine.
There's a wonderful passage where she talks about going to the field. Her palette collapses. So she has some newspaper with her. So she starts painting using the newspaper as a palette. And then it starts to rain, so the newspaper starts to fall apart. And then she's just talking about how nothing was going to stop her. Yeah, she was passionate and strength of mind and also courage, because with this paralysis, she had lost the use of her right side. So she was sort of limping her way across the fields.
I think she felt very unhappy with her disability. It affected her in all sorts of ways, in her confidence as a woman and in her abilities to live a completely full life. But in terms of adapting her painting style, in the long term, she felt it was a benefit. Because she had to paint with her left side, it gave her a freedom of being far looser with paint. And she talks about society holding her back. The values were placed on playing tennis or riding or shooting, and all the things that Lucy, as a left-sided person, her value had gone down. The first exhibition that she was in, she writes that now the whole world would recognise that being not whole didn't count anymore because she was an artist. She didn't need to play tennis.
She was very much an independent individual person. She was very much, no, I don't want to get married. I want to learn to paint and I want to pursue my interests and go travelling the world. And I believe that's something you very much get when you walk around here and see the paintings. For me, one of the key works that demonstrates her life in a way, there's one of a landscape scene by a river. That to me signifies Lucy Harwood's love but also influence of Impressionism.
I love the landscapes, and there's a particular one I love, which is poppy and cornfields. The other interesting thing about that painting is it's got a flowers painting on the back, so you've got two paintings on one canvas.
Lucy's sensibilities as an artist were very much in place before she met Cedric. We've got life drawings for when she was at the Slade and some watercolours of her travels. She's already very keen on the natural world and plants and things like that. And then she met Let Haynes, who she credits most particularly with teaching her to have the confidence. And so she credits Let hugely with freeing her. She brought nearly every painting to Benton End that she did to be evaluated by both Cedric and Let, and she took both of their advice very seriously. She's not the draftsman that Cedric is because of the problems of her paralysis in her left hand, but I think she's a totally free spirit and a unique talent. This painting, I think, is absolutely typical of Lucy in the sense of her beautiful sky, which is just mirrored colours of aquamarine and pale pinks, and even in the fence, absolutely bright violet. She took such delight of selling her paintings locally to people who wanted them. And it was as much about people who lived in Layham, whose children would be painted by her or whose house might be in a picture. She loved the fact that anybody wanted to buy her paintings. She found that absolutely elevating.
I kind of was very interested in how could we kind of make homage to Lucy Harwood's love of colour. And we wanted to see how could we celebrate Benton End and legacy, but for a much wider audience. So what young people in particular can do, they can navigate the space, look at mirrors on the wall, which also distort your face, and people can practice drawing their self-portraits. Then they can attach them to the wall to present them alongside Lucy Harwood's work. We used our Lucy Harwood paintings we have in Firstsite's own collection, and we worked with families and young people to make their own responses to Lucy Harwood. And behind me is a rendering of responses used as a backdrop for Lucy Harwood's works. So we want to see, what does that mean to people today? And what does that local love of landscape mean today for people? And how do they want to express that?